Dark Shepherd here. This is what I learned this last week. This. The thing I've been searching for basically ever. This is actual movement. You can get this to where it's actually kind of more SFW. I might cut that first part out, who knows. This is actually compressing in real time. This is not an animation. This is not, you know, it's not pre-recorded anything. This is just the thing I've been looking for. So if this was a bikini top, then it would actually be squishing the way it's supposed to be squishing. And the process on how it's done is actually pretty simplistic, but it is a paid-for add-on. So, but it's something I've been looking for a long time. And it's called breast control or soft breast control for Genesis 9. So this actually does allow for the manipulation of the physical body for, well, whatever Genesis model you have. How it works is you don't actually need the model. You use whatever model you want to close that to actually implement it. So what you do is you don't actually already have the model. So what you do is you have to have a particular add-on installed in DAZ, and it's called you get it. This is how I found out about the Sagan. You need the Alembic exporter because Alembic is kind of a newer file type that a lot of engines and applications have been using. So for Sagan, you have to go. I think you have to have an account with DAZ in order to get to this, and then you go to the attachment. Oh, that's not the attachment, but where is it? Installing Sagan Alembic. I don't remember where the download is. It's somewhere in here. You'll find the download, and it'll take you to over here. So you'll download 3.4 at least. I think I actually have 3.7 as well, and it still works. So what you do is you unzip the file. I think I have it in demo downloads. I know it's here. It's going to go in this folder. So let me actually see if it's in over here in videos. I think I do. Uploads, demo downloads. Yeah, it is. So I got 3.4, and inside of the unzipped file, you'll find Sagan 3DLL. So when you do that, it's going to go in this. So this is actually in the C drive on a Windows computer. It's in the C drive, DAZ 3D, application, 64-bit, DAZ 3D, DAZ Studio 4, inside the plugins folder. And you just take that Sagan 3 and drop it in here. And what that does is it actually allows you to bring it in. So by default, it does not show up. You have to go find it and put it in. So where it is you go to your window, go to workspace, go to customize, and then under menus, you're going to go to main menu bar, under file, and then you're going to find it over here under miscellaneous, which I go right by it. It's right here, and then you just drag it and drop it in here. And then you'll apply, accept, and then you'll end up with this exporter. And so what happens is it comes up with this screen, and you'll have a model, whatever model you want. And I just use default settings, and then you'll click export and then done. And that's it. So it exports it as an Alembic file, which is a .abc file. And you'll come into Blender, and you have to get that the soft breast for it's called soft breast for Genesis 9, and it comes like this. You install it as an add-on. It's a Python installation, same as we usually install our add-ons, just some preferences, and then install from disk wherever it's located. And then we have this basically. So I'm going to hide her, and then you'll import. Make sure I've got this in something that's not going to show anything, and it'll be Alembic. So ABC. And then I've actually got mine stored in game disk. No, it's in here. New saves. Blender. No, it's DAZ to Blender. And this is actually called Untitled 0. And then it's just called Blender Houdini. And I think that's because it probably came from Houdini. And then we import the Alembic. So this is the model that I was using. And so we're just going to Control Z and go back to who we had. And how you start it is I'm actually going to start a new Blender instance and actually show you from scratch, because I can't seem to get it to stop doing this once we start it. So it's kind of like once it starts, it just keeps going. So fresh instance, make sure we're in here. We're grab everything, delete. I'm gonna go to import, and it's just kind of default settings when you import. What we have is we go down to the soft body, and this is our target. So we go ahead and click start, and it'll strip off the rest. This is what we're dealing with. So this is just the mesh we have, and it is very subdivided. So how it works is we can bring in shapes. So if you want to bring in, if you're going to make something like a strap, oh, Z, squish it down. Scale on the Y to 0.1. I'll probably need to scale that a bit further back on the Y. And the Z. Okay, so grab on the Y, move it forward. This is now our target. So how this works is nothing's happening at the moment. We can move this in, nothing happens. What happens is we add this as the target, and now this will interact with that. You see it's just kind of slicing through, but that's what we can mess with this stuff. I found putting softness and smoothness all the way up to 1 causes it to distend more, kind of like a realistic breast would. You have ray length. This kind of messes with the sizing, I guess the distension. So if the woman was wearing, you know, kind of more of a really tight strap, then it would cause something like this. And then we can also hide this and have the indentation just show. But if we're going to do that, we can also edit the geometry in here. Set it X. Wait. Turn on proportional editing. More local. Okay, so it's not going to do it across the X. So we just grab one point over here. Oh, that's not going to work. We can't figure a way to bring them inside. But regardless, this is how you actually do that. It's been eluding me for probably close to almost 2 months now, trying to figure out how to get this to actually do this. Now, this is only particular to the breasts, but I'm pretty sure there's probably an add-on for, you know, other parts of the body as well. I've seen people that have animations that actually utilize aspects like that, to where it actually shows indentations where if you squeeze with the fingers, it'll do that. And that's just what I've been trying to figure out how to do. Because most of the times, the people I've seen that have this stuff are not this, they sculpt it. So they'll put like a strap in and then they'll sculpt it in there. So if we turn the, let me go to sculpt mode for this, sculpt mode. They would actually take certain brushes. And I think it was draw sharp. Yeah, they'll draw sharp. And that's another way you can do this. Like, so they had a strap like that. If you had enough geometry, you could do that. And if you keep it like that, it'll animate and it'll look perfectly fine. But for the triangular shape, I mean, I guess we could make a triangle shape. But then we have this part in the center that is just kind of there. And then how do we get all of these particular pieces of geometry to actually fold correctly? So sculpting can be kind of a pain in the ass. It's actually my method of choice, my medium. I am a sculptor. But in Blender, it's different. I'm used to sculpting with clay or with wood or metal in some cases. But sculpture is a very difficult medium to actually get a hold of or get a grasp on. But that was one thing I learned this last week, was this. The other thing I learned how to do was kind of create an add-on. So we're going to hide everything in here. And where this actually came from was I was watching a video by Max Hay, who is an amazing Blender artist. He's renders. I don't think I've ever seen him. He does slight animations too from what I've seen, but mostly just really beautiful, detailed renders. And he was making something that was just interesting. And it's called the Sierpinski Pyramid. And I didn't know what it was. It's a geometric shape. Let me grab that again. So we merge at center, and we have a pyramid. So grab that, put it up on the Z by 1. We have this. So the Sierpinski Pyramid is actually, I'm gonna instance this, move it on the X by 2, and then I'm gonna take both of these, Alt D and Y by 2. Then we're gonna take this, Alt D, Z by 2. And then we're going to grab on the X. And then grab on the Y. And this is the beginning of a Sierpinski Pyramid. So it has these particular, and this scales, it gets larger. So there's 5 in this one, and then it scales exponentially. So we Alt D and then X by 4. And then we'd create more of these, and it just keeps getting bigger. So take these and then Y by 4, and then create another one and then put it on top. And it just keeps going like that and scales up. So I noticed that it looked similar to something that I'd seen before inside Blender, and it's called the Menger sponge. So if you go to your preferences, there's an actual add-on called extra mesh objects that comes free with Blender. You can just get it, and when you add shape to a certain mesh and you go to extras, you have the Menger sponge. So the Menger sponge is an automated system. So down here in the left corner, I don't think I'm in the way, you can go to the width of the cube. It gets bigger, and then as we increase the levels, it starts cutting holes, and then it gets deeper and deeper, and once you get to a certain level, it starts to lag out pretty hard. But if you get close to that, if you put a texture or material on this, that'd make for a really interesting scene. Especially if you're trying to make like, to me it looks like kind of the Labyrinth, if you've ever seen the cover of Hellbound, Hellraiser 2. It looks kind of like that. So if you have a Sierpinski Pyramid, which these are all, I guess, cubes. Oh no, those cubes. Just combine those as one geometry. Well, I'm not gonna mess with them right now. But the Menger sponge is definitely interesting. So what I did was I asked Claude if there was a way to actually automate this process of building the Sierpinski Pyramid instead of doing it by hand. And so Claude actually spit out some Python code. And what it looks like, so the Sierpinski Pyramid.py. So this opens up in Visual Studio Code. And I didn't actually have a name on it, but it creates the Sierpinski Pyramid. And you actually, the only difference is you have to put this at the top and then load it into Blender as an add-on. Just go to Edit. You can save your own. Like, it's not hard to have an AI actually create this stuff for you. And then install from disk, and then it'll come up. And so add-ons, I actually have Sierpinski. Where is it? It should be down here. Oh, SIEOR, I can't spell. The Sierpinski Pyramid Generator. And so if I actually come in here and add a mesh, it's at the bottom right here. To add the Sierpinski Pyramid. And it does it. But we can adjust the size and then adjust the recursion depth. So 4 layers deep, 5 layers, 6 layers. Instead of doing all that by hand, we can just do this. And I thought that was really cool. At the same time, you do have to pay attention because it is creating a bunch of tetrahedrons. There's probably over 1,000 of these things now. But what you do is just grab a hold of them and then Control J, and it should join them into a single geometry. Hopefully. It might not. Felt like it's working on it. I may have stopped it, but what Max did is he took these, and we're gonna Alt D and then rotate that on the X by 180, and then rotate it on the Z by 60, and make one giant tetrahedron. Turn off X-ray mode. And in his render, he had like clouds that were going through it, and it looked volumetric fog, and it looked really cool. We could actually control that. Or, it won't let me join that geometry together. We'll move it up. What we can do to make it look more interesting, because this is like an ancient ruin. So if we came in here and just came into Blender Kit, grab a stone texture, let's just say this one. Drag it on here. And go to... These are instants. It should have gone on to all of them. Oh, it's because they're not all joined together. Well, it won't let me join them, so... It may be because it's too big. But you can put a stone texture on to make it look really cool. But that's kind of what I learned, was just basically how to install or how to create an add-on in Blender and, you know, install it. But yeah, that's some interesting things. I learned a lot this last week. There's a lot of other stuff I did learn, but I didn't want to put it in this video because it'd be like an hour long, and I don't think anybody would want to sit and watch that, and I wouldn't want to sit and try to record it because I'd have to remember everything that was there. But the other stuff, I'm going to make a video on taking any hair from Daz and actually bringing it into Unreal through Blender, because certain hair won't actually go when you're exporting your character from Daz into Unreal. The hair won't work. You'll get an error code and it'll just blow up some stuff. So there's actually a method that you can, and it's a Blender add-on. It's called, I don't remember the name of it at the moment. I think I just call it hair. UE hair. Yeah. So we have to do some stuff. I'm actually going to make a kind of a walkthrough. The guy that I saw do it, it's called Imagine Everything, I think is the name of the channel. And he actually shows how to do it. You basically just have to create a hair scalp in Daz. Export. You can just export the hair with the scalp. And then you're going to use this add-on to create it. And then when you export it into, it converts the hair into groom hair, which is then exported into Unreal. And then you can apply it to, you create a socket on the head and then apply it to the socket, and then it just kind of follows the model. And then you can go in and tweak all different kinds of like physics settings and color settings and all kinds of stuff. But that's a different video. Anyway, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to leave them below. I'll see you next week.